Blues Matters here. We've got Teresa James and her producer partner, Terry Wilson.
Good morning.
Good morning, or good evening, or whatever.
Hello, how are you doing? Where are you today?
Well, it's early here in Los Angeles for us, but we're doing great. We had a huge rain last night, which is very unusual. That was wonderful.
Take you right back. What made you want to be a musician? What's the backstory to Teresa James?
You know, I somehow knew as a very small child that my favorite thing to do in the world was to sing. My house, when I was growing up, was always full of music, and my brother started taking piano lessons when I was like 5. And so he would practice and then I would go play what he was practicing on. And so I started playing when I was really small. And then my dad taught me guitar. And I don't know. Singing was always my favorite thing. My mom found an old, where you learn to handwrite, from elementary school, those big, huge pages. And it said, I love to sing. When I sing, I'm happy. So I guess I'm lucky that the thing I like to do the most is something that people like to hear,
And when were you first on stage?
My first time on a real stage was when I was 8. My dad and I played guitars and did folk songs and entered a local talent show. And we won the talent show and we got to go to the big talent show. And it was this huge stage with a big spotlight. And I thought, I was scared to death. But at the same time, I thought, this is the coolest thing I've ever done, and from there on, just every chance I got to sing and play.
And what about the piano? When did you start the piano?
When I was really small, I started taking lessons when I was like 5, I guess, and I studied classical piano until I was in high school, which of course, then it lost its charm. And I started playing, rock music and folk music. Folk music was really kind of where I started. And then I heard Big Mama Thornton and thought, oh, no, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. So, moved on from there.
And what keeps you motivated?
Well, mainly the thing that, because it's the thing I like to do the most. But what really keeps me motivated is Terry Wilson over here, who's an extremely prolific songwriter and amazing musician. And so he'll go out in our home studio and, open the door and say, hey, come check out this new tune, come sing this song, and then we start working on that. And then we just go from there.
And let's talk about the new album then.
Okay.
What was the production behind it?
Well, so I can understand you. What was the what behind it?
Production.
Well, I'm going to let Terry tell you about that. Terry always starts out in the studio as he's writing the tunes and kind of building a little bit of a track. And then,
You play a local gig around here and you say, how many people in the audience have a CD out this week? And so many people have home studios today. And so many artists, you start from scratch in your studio, and whether it's 10 o'clock in the morning or 2 a.m. when you're working by yourself. And I've been working in Pro Tools for a long time and writing and arranging and producing stuff, and living with Teresa for her to come in and learn the song, sing the song. Not every song that we start makes it on a record or is a good song for her to sing, but she still can sell the tune. So the production, if I'm starting from scratch, drum program, so I can do everything from the studio, but as soon as we realize if the song's going to work for her, once we figure out the key and we've got the right arrangement, and then she'll put a scratch vocal on it and maybe start learning the piano part, or we start sending the track out to like a drummer to put the drums on from his home studio, or a B3 player to do a B3 part from his home studio. So it's not the same as it was when we were growing up, where you just get in the studio with all your players in your band or different cats to track the tunes.
Now we have done that though. Our Here in Babylon's CD that we actually got nominated for a Grammy for. We just went in the studio and cut all, the four basic musicians went in and cut everything.
That was the first record in a long time that we did like that. We cut that record over 3 days, pretty much cut every track live. And that really is the best way to go, but sometimes it's not the most feasible because of the timeline, who you're working with, budget.
Yeah, this time actually, when during the pandemic, so much time at home. I mean, in Los Angeles, where we live, the venues, music venues, that was the very last thing to open. So we had a good 18 months at least at home, just kind of doing stuff. And, Terry spent every day in the studio writing. So when we decided it was time, we should put a new CD out, or at least we had enough to, it was time to do something. We had almost 40 songs to pick from. Doing it this way, kind of, sending it out and having them do it made it easier for us to prepare a bunch of the tunes and go, okay, now which ones of these do we want to put on the record? You know, kind of a thing.
And the songwriting, is it shared?
Yeah. Well, usually what happens is Terry comes up with the basic the basic song, and then when I go in and mostly I kind of help shape it. It's just like, what, this bridge needs to go up, right? Maybe it's just that kind of a thing, where it's just like, this, what if we make this shorter? Let's cut this lyric. Let's put this in there, so it's, he's the impetus and he gets most of it done. And then I just come in and shape it so that it's a rhythm jam, it works for us, for me, and there's a lot of great songs that he's written that I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can sell that one. I'm not, but luckily he's prolific enough that we have lots of choices to pick from,
Talk about some of the tracks on the new album.
Well, I personally love the title track. I love Bad at Being Good. I think it's just a great song. It's got a fun attitude. And then when Terry called John Cleary to see if he would play on it, that just sort of made it for me because I just idolized that guy. His playing and his musicianship is just ridiculous.
We've known Cleary over the years. I've did a couple of different album projects with him, with John Porter producing, and we just got to be friends with him. And his band has been on the cruise that we do every year, twice now, and we just got to be buddies with him. And when we were in New Orleans a couple of months ago, we hung out with him and had breakfast with him, and he took us on a New Orleans tour from his point of view and showed us where Dr. John went to school and skipped school to go jam with these guys at this club around the corner. So
it was very cool. But he added, man, he just brought the track to life. And I really like that story. There's several, obviously it's kind of a joke in our band. It's like, because we have so many songs. We put out 14 CDs now, and it's just like the ones that we do live, it's just always like, well, the joke is if mama don't dig it, we ain't gonna do it. You know what I mean? So it's like, so obviously there's favorites for me on the record, but that's definitely one of them. You talk about a track, Tara. Which one's your favorite?
I agree with you. Bad at Being Good was the most fun. It was the most put a smile on your face once you heard John's piano part. I don't know, Say What You Will, which I was kind of trying to channel Spooner Oldham and Aretha Franklin in Muscle Shoals on that one. And we teased Teresa here. We joke with Teresa about being Teresa sometimes. And we lost Aretha, in the last couple of years, and we've always been a big fan of hers. So we kind of try to channel her and Muscle Shoals on that one. That's one of my favorites.
That one was kind of problematic because when he first wrote it, it was like super rangy. The bridge part or the chorus part was like super high, and it just seemed like I can sing it, but it's kind of scary sounding. You know what I mean? So that was one that we had to kind of shape up and put it in a slightly different package. But it came out good. I Got This Thing is one of my favorites. To me, growing up in Texas, and it's very Texas blues kind of. It's just got a real down and dirty kind of cool vibe to me. That's another one of my favorites. All About the Benjamins is always fun too. With what's going on in our country, it's a fine line that you face trying to like make a statement or at least reflect on what's going on without coming across as being too like brittle or too offensive or just like dogmatic. You know what I mean? And there's a few songs on this where I feel like we kind of like Trouble in Paradise is another one of my favorites. It's just it makes me feel good to sing that one. You know what I mean?
Where did that come from?
Sometimes you want to write a political statement, but not be too pointed and clear. Because how many people do you want to piss off out there? So
Guess it depends on your mood, doesn't it, dear? So which one do you like, Colin? Do you have a favorite?
Well, I like We Came to Rock. There you are.
We Came to Row.
Really? Cool. We Came to Rock. Yeah. You know, we're getting in trouble because it's got a kind of a 4-letter word in it a little bit, you know? But it's just how we talk, you know? I mean, I didn't mean to make it, you know, can I say the 4-letter word here on air or not?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because it doesn't actually say shit. We have a saying around here that's like, you know, when you're getting up, especially for me, when I'm singing or when I'm playing, especially when I'm playing piano, it's like, I don't want to get too precious with it. I don't want to get too in my head about it. So the saying that we have is just turn your give a shitter off.
And go for it.
And go for it. Right. And that's the lyric that's a give a shitter. Turn your give a shitter off. It's not. We're not actually.
Colin, I kind of think that's the secret to life. Turning the give a shitter off.
Well, it certainly makes sense.
Absolutely.
Because once you get in your head and are thinking consciously, then you've lost the spirit, you've lost the heart. To me, you know, I mean, for me, it's all, every time I sing, it's about finding a way to just lose myself in it and not even be present, sort of.
Relax and go with it.
Just let the music take you, let the song take you where it wants to go. And that's kind of my theory on singing anyway. It's just, you know, what does the song want? Does it want me to sing quiet? Does it want me to sing loud? Does it want a bunch of notes? Does it want me to just hold it? You know, it's like, it's not about, because my thing is, if you sell the song, then you make that connection with the listener and then you're selling yourself. It's not like, you know, what can I do? I look at me, I sound so cool. You know, it's not really about that. Hopefully I do sound cool, but it's not because that's what I'm trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Actually, I guess that's why we're fair, because he writes the songs and I like to sing songs as opposed to just riffing, you know, so. Anyway, sorry I interrupted you.
What's it like being on stage with your partner and actually collaborating on the album as a partner?
Well, it gets a little intense sometimes. Oh, darling. But no, you know, we've been doing this for so long together that we know, I don't know. It's actually kind of funny because on stage, you would never know that we were partners. You know, actually, me and the guitar player engage a lot more on stage because Terry, well, you know, the bass player, you know, you have to hold it down. To me, the bass player, I used to teach at a music college, or I guess I still do sometimes, but out here in Los Angeles. And that was a performance class. And that's what I would always tell my singer students is that, you know, the bass player is the guy who drives the bus. You know, if everybody in your band knows your songs except the bass player, it might turn out fine. But if the bass player is the only one who knows your songs, you're probably going to sound better. You know what I mean? And I've been really lucky to get to work with some of the best drummers around. Tony Bronigal, Herman Matthews, Jay Bellerose. I mean, there's so many great drummers here in Los Angeles that that's really fun. I think I'm veering off of the question. But working together, yeah. You know, sometimes, you know, on the way home, we have some pretty spirited discussions about what happened on stage.
Again, it's knowing when to shut up and turn the give a shitter off.
Good point.
I think I've got the title for the interview. What keeps you motivated to do this?
What
I like the craft, and I like what we do. I like being able to create something from nothing. You know, you might hear somebody say something where that's a good idea for a song. That's a good lyric line. Somebody just came on. Who's that?
Oh, it's JJ. Am I not talking with you
No,
guys?
it's not time.
Today?
Not time yet. No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll jump off.
Hi, JJ.
Hi. All right. I'll get out of here.
You seem like a nice fellow.
Yeah.
We'll miss him.
You know him?
So what were we talking about?
You said what keeps you?
Songwriting or producing stuff for us. It's kind of up and down. It's cyclical. You go through different times where you're absorbing and learning and thinking about what's the next song you're going to write about. And then it's like, well, Monday I'm going to wake up and I'm going to start writing songs. And you just get that positive desire to go start writing. You collect ideas for songs, and I put notes in my phone. And then if it's like I have a dance groove or a guitar riff or a piano chord passage or a drum beat that you want to write around, or you just heard a new Rolling Stones song that you want to kind of channel from. So you get inspiration from different places, and sometimes it's what people have said to you, and you remember the lyric line idea, and you just start working at it. For me, it's a real cathartic process, and it's cheaper than going to a psychiatrist.
And that is exactly, I mean, singing for me is a total release, you know. I mean, I just like to sing, and I've probably saved millions of dollars in therapy fees if I'm doing it. But you know, I've said this before, but I feel like I'm just kind of a blue collar singer. It's like somebody calls me up because I do a lot of sessions, or I have, especially over the years here in Los Angeles. And it's just like, if somebody calls me and says, "Hey, Teresa, you want to sing something?" I'll usually just go, "Sure. What is it?" You know, kind of a thing, because I like the puzzle of figuring out how to take a song, because I'm not a very prolific writer. I mean, I have a good instinct for songs, but songwriting is you just have to have so much confidence or something. I don't know what it is to think, okay, I'm just going to put this out there, you know, and I do better when there's something to start with. But the main thing, my main talent, I think, is in taking a song and figuring out how to bring it to life and how to make a connection. And I enjoy the puzzle of it. I enjoy the craft of it, like figuring out, okay, where in my voice do I want to put this? How do I want to, you know, how's this going to go? And for years and years, when our kids were growing up, our bread and butter around here was me doing songwriter demos. I mean, I've done songwriter demos for, you know, Burt Bacharach, Barry Mann, and Cynthia Weil, Dolly Parton. I mean, so many amazing songwriters. But having that process of walking into a studio, hearing a song for the first time, usually with a pretty terrible vocal, but maybe not, you know, but just thinking, okay, so what does this song want? How can I, you know, start singing it and let the song find its way? And that has, I think, served me well in my own career, you know, just in terms of like, I mean, I hope that when you hear a song, I mean, and that's what people like about coming to see us live, is that we have so many different grooves and different styles and different attitudes that, you know, if you don't like this song, just hang on. See if you like the next one, you know, kind of a thing. It's just it's a whole musical experience, as opposed to just, this is exactly what we do. You know, does that make sense? That makes sense, right?
That makes sense, and it relates to the new album as well.
I think so. This one has quite a few different kinds of attitudes on it, feels like. But I think it all goes together, right? Seems to flow
yeah.
together.
Oh,
But
yeah.
and yeah, we
Absolutely.
leaned much more into our Roadhouse kind of roots, I think, on this one a little bit. Is Anything All Right is a fun song.
Yeah.
Oh,
Where
and
did that come from?
Anytime Is All Right. I love that song too. And you know, they're all just all like sort of, you know, your different children, sort of, you know.
And how do you feel when an album is released?
I'm sorry, I couldn't under the distortion.
How do you feel when an album is released?
It's weird when the album finally comes out after working on it for so long. Terry's just been wandering around the house for, you know, she's kind of like, okay, now what? You know, because, you know, every part of the release is a different thing, you know, and he was mixing on it. He and John, do you know John Porter, who's a great producer, engineer? We've been working with him for several hours.
I met Porter back in the mid-'70s when I lived in London, and he was doing Roxy Music. He played bass with Roxy Music and was producing the Brian Ferry early records. Just over the years, he moved to L.A. and we hooked up again, and we just ended up getting to know each other and really enjoying working with each other. And John's back in England. He lives in Malmesbury and has his studio set up in his place.
But they just pass mixes back and forth, you know.
So John's been a real good sounding board, a very honest sounding board. I mean,
yeah, he'll just say,
Porter tell you what he's thinking, and he does it in a good, fun, humorous way. So,
but it's good to have. In the early days when it was just us doing everything, it was just like you kind of need an outside ear. The first time we worked, we sent something to John. It was a song. It was a song called "I Know Handsome When I See It, But I Don't Know When to Leave It Alone." It's a great old Texas shuffle kind of song. And Terry, we had sent it to John to to do a mix just to see what he would come up with. And I think there was the one guitar part that was kind of in the background, just kind of a rhythm thing, the way we were hearing it. And when John sent it back, that was way up front and it was just like, it was a totally different, remember that? It was just,
Yeah.
it was totally different than how we had heard it. And it was just, it totally made the song come alive. So that was kind of where the partnership was born with John. Yeah. So, but it is weird when the album finally comes out because you don't know what to think because you've lived with it for so long and heard it so many times. And it's just like, and then, always, there's certain places and certain songs where I'm thinking, I should have gone up there. I should have done it. I did a little ad lib. It should have been this. It should have, whatever, you can't help. You can't help.
There's always that.
There's always that.
You let it go and you can't listen to it for a while.
But always when you listen to it later, you're like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. What your answer a while ago, Colin, is it is really weird nowadays to keep doing this because it's so hard to make money doing it. They've made it so difficult to get paid for your music.
I'm sure you had to bring that up.
Well, I'm just saying, it's just like people who do music for as many years as we've done it. It's just, you just can't help yourself. It's just who you are. It's what you do. It's what you're driven to do. It's just like during the pandemic when there were no gigs and we, just the whole it was just, there was so much going on. We had a lot of loss. We lost a lot of friends and family members and stuff. And it was just like that release, when I don't get to sing for a couple of weeks, even. I'm always singing around the house. Our son used to always, when he was really little, go, Mom, stop singing. You're not at work. It's like, I just said, sorry, honey, you're going to have to put up with it. But it's just like the breath of life, kind of. It's just, I don't know. That sounded really pretentious, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like, I actually, during the pandemic, I started taking opera lessons on Zoom because I just need, I had never done that. And I wondered, because I kept walking around the house singing like, and I thought, well, I wonder how they really do that, so, and it was one of the coolest things I ever did. But yeah, singing is just something I can't live without at this point anyway, unless I have to. And then I guess I'd figure something else out. I don't know.
And what about the blues?
The blues, you know what? I love singing blues because I used to, like I said, I used to teach a class in roots music singing, blues and country, right? And when I would talk about the blues, it was interesting for me to teach that because I had never really put a lot of thought into it. I just did it. I never really studied singing. I just listened to singers and tried to imitate them and see, and, oh, that was a cool lick. Wait, how did they do that? But when I got to the blues, talking about the blues, I realized that the format is so simple and it's so repetitive. But because of that, you have so much freedom to do whatever you want as a singer. And it's what the singer brings. I mean, and I guess the guitar player too, but I'm all about the singing, So, but it's where it's how you put yourself into it and how you, the choices that you make and just the fact that it's so simple. You can totally just sink into the music and just let yourself go. That's, I was trying to show these young singers, these college age singers, it's just like, it was funny because the school, would give me like these lead sheets, with the melody written in on the blues songs, and I would say, no, here's the lyric sheet. You're singing the lyrics. You don't want to memorize this melody. You want it to become yours. You need to process it through your whole entire, what you've done and who you are and whatever's happening, and, you can come in early on the line. You can come in late on the line. You can go up, you can go down, you can leave words out, you can add more words, you can do whatever. Blues is like the most fluid and engaging medium, I think, for singers. I mean, every style has its thing, but I like the blues because of the freedom and because I can really express the meaning and the feeling of this. Blah, blah. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much here. Sorry.
Well,
but I get all wound up when I start doing this.
We don't do the traditional blues format. We feel to move the goalpost on what blues should be. And how do you push the envelope? How do you stretch it? How do you do something new in a format that we've been living with our whole lives. I've got to work with some great blues players, some Lightning Hopkins, Jimmy Reed, Jimmy Vaughn, Bonnie, Delbert. And what can you do in blues to make it sound fresh and new? So that's what I like to think we try to do anyway, what we do when we do the blues.
And on this album, actually, we have a couple of much more standard blues form songs. And so lyrically, they kind of go out a little bit. Close down that blues bar and keep my baby home at night, you know?
And treat her as well.
I'm sorry, what?
Treat her.
I'm sorry, your voice is distorting really bad.
I can't hear myself. Treat her.
Treat her like you want her to treat you.
treat her
Oh,
like- yeah.
yeah, Colin. I don't know if you can hear. I kept going back and listening to some Ray Charles and Aretha and that old soul Memphis Muscle Shoals style of soul. And you got to stay true to the form. But how do you make that iconic old school soul stuff sound contemporary without losing the roots part of it? Which we had a couple of ballads, and that was the one that won out because it's easy to put too many ballads on a 12-song record. So
Yeah, I love to sing ballads, but yeah, you can really only put a couple in a set or on an album. I mean, otherwise it just gets sleepy and
Teresa's
they
really
lose their potency.
Teresa's really good at singing ballads. So
Thank you, dear.
and they're always fun to do. They're always fun to pick and put on a record.
Well, because those are the songs where I can really just relax into it, and milk the phrasing and the lyric and the melody and stuff. And that song is a really fun one to sing. And it's also really good advice. Treat your woman like you want her to treat you. Right. It's kind
Absolutely.
of to do right woman, I guess, sort of.
And what's the best advice you've had, finally?
What was it?
I don't know.
I heard.
You're an interpreter.
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
Best advice.
Advice.
For, you know what? In the beginning of my career and when Terry and I first got together, we were, of course, back then it was very different because if you weren't on a major label, no one ever heard your music, So, but we were always kind of chasing, let's do this. So we did like really rock stuff, or we did a country thing, or we did, we were trying to really like latch on to whatever was going on. And then finally we just said, you know what, let's just do what we do. We're just gonna find the heart of what we're about and just do that and hope that people find us, and then of course, right, along that line, then the internet got going and all of a sudden you had an outlet for your music, so it is easier now. My advice would be just make your music and find the people that like what you do, as opposed to, I don't know, for me, when I hear music, honestly, the only thing I really listen to is, do I believe what you're saying? Are you just playing music, or are you selling, the music? And that's, if you sell it, I'll buy it. You know what I mean? But don't just, that's what I used to tell my students. It's like, you know what? Anybody can learn a song and sing it correctly. Music, correct music is like, that's the thing with AI too. It's just because it sounds fine and right doesn't mean that it's going to make that connection. And I think in order to make that connection, you just need to be true to yourself. And that's, stop thinking about it. Stop thinking about what you look like while you're playing or singing, just be honest, I think I don't really have any advice for young musicians. Our son is a musician. Our daughter married a drummer, it's just, and they're doing really well, but it's a scary time, I think, to start out in the music business. It's a whole different set of skills, sort of.
My advice would be stay in school, or become a plumber.
Plumbers make a lot of money out here.
They do.
That's a fact. But yeah, I mean, it's I'm sure that musicians will adapt to how a vocation as opposed to just an avocation. You know what I mean? Learn, how to monetize it. We're not doing so great with that, but that's okay because we get to do what we want to do musically, and that's a big deal for.
Yeah. Right. We'll end there.
Okay. I'm sorry
Okay.
about the sound problems where I just noticed it a few days ago that it was just like on my speaker. So I don't know how you fix that. You get an external speaker is what you do, right? I'm not much of a tech person.